there, it's Heather Blaze here, where I show and support super cool peeps just like you how to make a lot more money and have a lot more freedom in your life to do the things that you really love to do. Welcome back, and thank you for watching video number 1. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you got a lot of value from it. Is not being able to get clients for you a fear for you? Or maybe you have so many clients but not a lot of time for yourself? Since launching video number 1, I've been getting a lot of questions from people about problems they're facing, and after responding to them one by one, I realized that there's a trend here and it looks like there's a pattern. So what we're going to talk about today is all about how you're going to make $100,000 or more per year in your business without getting overwhelmed or exhausted, and in a way that gives you the freedom to spend your precious time doing what you really love to do, whatever that looks like. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you have in fact watched video number 1, because it was the foundation building in what we're going to be talking about in today's training. And I also gave out a really cool tool called the Value Activator tool. And that is all about your value and who you are as a business. And without understanding that and without having a deep awareness of that, it's really hard to build your pricing and your packages and what we're going to be talking about today, because then it just becomes more tactics and more stuff to throw up on the wall to see what sticks. So we talked about a strong foundation in the last video, and now we're going to move forward into building a strong business and reaching 6 figures and beyond. Now, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, and for some of you, you may be beyond that, and for some of you, you may be so below that you can't even imagine what it's like to make $100,000 in a year. And one of the things that happens when I talk to people about numbers is that people often look at me now and say, you know, you've created multi-million-dollar businesses, and they think it's totally easy for you, but it's different for me. And I gotta tell you that all of my businesses started in the same place that I'm gonna be sharing with you here. Every business I've created has started with the exact strategies that I'm going to be teaching you about today. That's all about how you're putting together what you offer and your price, how you're pricing yourself. And for me, when I started building my first business, I had the Eeyore mentality, and I also had the duct tape model going on. Like, there was no defined clarity or structure or strategy. I had low self-esteem, and I felt like I couldn't charge more than my competitors were charging. And I just wasn't really clear on anything. And then I realized, I was attracting people who just weren't my ideal clients, and they were only coming for the price tag. But then when I figured out, what I put together and what I'm about to teach you about here, I put together a different kind of program based on hundreds of business owners I'd seen succeed over the years. And I put together a package by recognizing my own values and looking at all the different elements that I had put together in these amazing programs. And when I did that, I quadrupled my prices. Now, I know quadrupling prices can totally freak people out. Actually, doubling can freak people out. But then the one thing that I learned is what all the people I coach start to understand when they start pricing from value and being more strategic is that they make more while spending less time. And when I did that, I was selling out faster and people were just scooping them up. And they were also a more ideal client for me. And it made my business that much more fun. And that's how I started to build what I'm doing today. It started to come to life. And, as I was building my business with the same clarity and structure I'm teaching you now. So let's talk about you and your pricing and how you're putting together what you offer your clients. Because what people realize when they start doing this more strategically is that their ideal client is just waiting for them to step up and get more strategic and play a bigger game. So that's why, before we dive into all this, here's the math of how you're going to make $100,000 this year. I want to talk about pricing mistakes that people make when it comes to putting together their service and their product. These are somewhat influenced by not knowing your value, but also I want you to give yourself a break or just look at the mistakes, because as entrepreneurs, we don't know what to do. We've never learned this stuff. You probably just said, hey, I'm going to try this, and oh my God, it worked. And then all of a sudden, I have a business. So there's 3 pricing mistakes, and the first one is selling time. It's something you're doing if you're charging hours for dollars, or sessions for dollars, like one and done kind of thing, like just kind of out there, throwing it out there and looking at how much you're allowed to make. And the second one is what I call pricing by baggage. And if you do this, it means you have a lot of ideas around money and you have some baggage around pricing and money. And so what you do when you have this mindset is you climb into your clients' and prospects' wallet and you think, oh, I can't possibly charge that. They'll never pay that. They may be poor, or they may not have enough for me. And so what happens is you're pricing by your own ideas around money, and you're not ever stepping up to realize strategically that you're doing this. And the third mistake that we make when it comes to pricing ourselves is that we make ourselves an object. And what that is that you look around and you think it's all about the price tag. It's all about the price, and value goes way beyond being an object or a commodity. Like, we have to start looking at value, because when we make those three pricing mistakes, what happens is we're offering one and done. There you go. And they're paying and they're gone. And it makes us more bored in our business, and it makes us not get the results. It makes us burnt out. So what happens when you make these pricing mistakes, when you're operating your business under these mistakes? Well, there are 5 things that happen that really can ruin a business, and that can make a business go completely under because you're totally exhausted and burnt out. You think, is the problem me? Or you may think that it's your business idea, and the problem is not you or your business idea. It's about learning how to do it the way I'm teaching you here. Step away, think differently, and create things based on strategy and not just in the moment throwing things together. And so what happens when we do this? When we do this like the first time, when you're pricing like this, when you price from these mistakes, is that you repel people. I've actually heard people say things like, I don't want to go to that retreat because it was so cheap. I didn't want to go and be around people who were paying that little. I want to be around wealthy people that I could learn from, people who, really invest in themselves. And I'd never really heard anyone articulate it so well, and it stuck with me because it's all about perception. And like I said, your prospects, your clients are waiting for you to step up, and you will repel people who might think that there's no value in what you do. The second is, and this might sound a little dramatic, but you're actually harming people. And what I mean by harm, well, you and I both know that when you serve somebody at a higher level, when they work with you over a longer period of time, they actually have time to go deep with you, and they get true results by working with you. If you're doing one and done and you're pricing cheaply and just throwing stuff out there and only treating yourself like an object, you're actually hurting people who would benefit by learning more. And by you modeling that they need to go deeper, ask yourself, who has gotten results from working with you? It's always the ones who stay continuous and consistent with their work with you. The third result that happens is that you're losing time. One of my clients, when she first started, she was running around just reinventing the wheel. Every time a new client came along, it was one and done. And so it was a whole new rewrite, a whole new round of emails, a whole bunch of new phone calls, and she was just wasting so much time. And when she started working with me, she was able to put together valuable packages, and it saved her hours and hours a week, even per day. The next thing that's happening when you're wasting that much time and putting that much energy into this, like when you're setting your business up like this, is that your business can't grow. So I was coaching a business owner about this idea of packaging, and she was an interior designer. She started using these strategies, and she created, before the next year began, $54,000, which is more than she had made the entire year before. But she had a foundation, and that's why, she could grow the business, was because she had such a strong foundation. And that brings me to number 5, which is when you operate from those pricing mistakes, you need way too many clients. You need to have so many clients that you start to feel inauthentic. You start to feel a bit cheesy and sleazy because you're always running around having to get more. And it's not elegant, and it doesn't serve you. And I remember somebody asking about the first year that I had made my first million, and somebody said to me, I couldn't possibly do that. when I showed her what and how it was possible, she said, "Oh my God, that's so doable. It wasn't that big because I know how to price myself from value and from true service." Okay, so let's break this down and let's do the math on the numbers on this and really do the math on how you can make $100,000 or more in your business. And I'm talking about your business and a matter of what your business is. One of the most common things I hear is this will only work for coaches, but that's not true. I'm about to give you some amazing examples of people who have taken this and worked it. So let's start with a $3,500 package. I know there's a lot of people that are going to be saying, I can't start with a $3,500 package. How does it sound for a yoga teacher who started with a $3,500 package? So this is somebody named Isabel who up till now had never made more than 15 or 20,000 in her business. And she had been doing this a long time. So if you're in the healing and wellness field, you know what this feels like because so many people are doing this work and thinking, I can't bring more value. I can't do packages. And Isabel took this and ran with it. And she was doing like $60 here and a few dollars there, a class here, a class there. And then she got strategic and she created a $3,500 package and went to her most devoted peeps and offered this to them. And I mean, these were people who had been coming back anyway. And she sold in the first 2 months of introducing it, she sold 5 packages. So imagine what that would feel like if you went from only making 15 to 20,000 to making 105,000 a year. And this isn't Isabel's only income. She's got other things that she's applying these principles to as well. So they could go even higher for her. Let's get even more simple with the math. What if you offered a $10,000 package? You would only need to sell 10 of those to break 100,000 a year. And you might say, 10,000? How is that even possible? Well, there's a business owner named Ryan Ellison who is an entrepreneur, a coach, who has created a $10,000 package. He went from doing smaller ones at first, and this is what happens. Once people start to do this work and they realize, wow, my clients are really going for this, and they're saying yes, my clients are starting to ask me to create bigger packages. So now has a $10,000 package, now aware that his students were wanting more. In order to make $100,000, all that needs to happen is to sell 10 of those. Once a strong foundation is built, to stand on, and then the business just grows in other ways with speaking and other trainings, and this can be done realistically in 2 years of business, all right? I just want to say that it has been done in year 2 of a brand new business. You can start with whatever you have and use these principles to start making more money. And the last one you might want to do the math on, just to mix it up. This is what most people do. Lisa Zimmerman, a lot of you may actually know her. She's a pretty well-known astrologer. And she's an astrologer who broke $100,000 in 1 year by getting more strategic about how she priced 3 different things. One was her astrology readings and how they lead into a deeper immersion package with her that lasts about 3 months, where she could really help someone do what I call the Boost Your Life. And she also created group programs and priced them at a higher level around $1,000. And now she's hitting the $100,000 a year mark as an astrologer in her business. And this is what it is. And this can work with anybody. These principles can be applied to any idea, product, or service. People who are cosmetic surgeons, who have brick and mortar type businesses, wellness coaching, all different kinds of businesses, artists, realtors, any kind of profession. Anyone can use these principles in their work, and it's doable for you as well. No one ever thinks about any of these examples of people, being a little scared or nervous, but all of them are. And the way we get over fear is when we know what to do. And that's where our training here it starts to get a little bit more strategic, a little bit more technical. And then make sure you come to the next training because it's in video number 3. I'll be walking you through the Money Map Blueprint. It's one thing to put together a package, but you've got to know how it all fits together in your business. And this is the map for how you're going to master your money in this Money Master class.